From Citizen TV, this is the Monday Report with Trevor Ombija.
Yes, that's absolutely right. This is the Monday Report and I am Trevor Ombija. Good evening. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Now, today marks the beginning of the continuous voter registration by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Their target, 6.3 million new voters. That will bring the voter register to about 28 million voters actually. But they're also looking for 61 billion shillings as the budget for the elections in 2027. We'll speak to the IEBC Commissioner, Anne Nderitu. She's also in charge of the voter registration. Find out from her whether the targets, how the numbers are looking like, the targets for the day, plus the 6.3 million shillings, 6.3 million voters, not shillings. The shillings is 61 billion shillings for the voter registration and the election in 2027. Mule Musao, the National Coordinator, ELOG, will be joining us online from Belgium to speak about what more IEBC needs to do at a time when TIFA has placed 64% of Kenyans saying they do not have confidence in the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Just 80 days after they took over office, we'll find out from them how do you restore confidence and how do you get those numbers, the 6.3 million that they're targeting, and the slow start today. But send in all your questions. I'll always give you the microphone on this particular show at Trevor Ombija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Citizen Monday Report. Ask all the questions you have to the Commission and to ELOG as well. We'll pose all those questions right after this. But for now, our top stories this evening.
Nimepoteza baba yangu, mama yangu, sister wangu waine, na mtoto mmoja anaitwa Anko, the driver.
Heartbreak in Murang'a. A village mourns as 8 family members, including 2 parents, 4 daughters, and 2 grandchildren, perish in the Kikopey Road horror.
Mimi kama jenzi niliamua nikuje nishike yangu.
We are supposed to register citizens eligible voters for a period up to 8 months before the general elections.
Countdown to 2027. IEBC targets millions of Gen Z in new continuous voter registration campaign.
Counties are owed 36.275 billion for September 2025 allocation.
And we must confront that issue and resolve it once and for all. And it is not impossible.
County funds crisis. Governors demand September allocations as standoff persists over e-procurement system. 10 million shillings and sinking. Mass fish deaths in Lake Victoria leave fishermen counting devastating losses. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Belinda Phillips. Now, a family from Murang'a was most hit by Sunday's tragic road accident at Kikopey, which claimed 4 of their immediate members. The dead include the grandparents and their 4 daughters, as well as nephews and uncles. Another family also lost a mother and her daughter in that midday crash. The families are now counting on the healing of 3 members who survived the accident. Brenda Wanga has the details.
The tragedy that has befallen this home is of epic proportions. Just Sunday, these houses were filled with joyful noises as grandparents, their children, and their grandchildren prepared for a trip to Nakuru to visit 2 ailing aunties.
Kuna watu walitoka kwetu nyumbani Murang'a. Bando kuna na wa Nairobi. Na mwenye alikuwa tu wasanya pamoja ni my last sister. Hiyo organization yote ilikuwa ya my last sister. Ndio alikuwa na hiyo akili ya kuunganisha familia ya grandparents wakuwe pamoja.
Elijah Mburu, a grandson in this family, was behind the wheels of the 14-seater matatu. Inside the matatu were 16 other closely related family members, 15 adults and 2 children. That journey was fatally halted when the matatu collided head-on with a trailer. In its wake, a family nearly decimated.
Wakati nilijia huko moshari, niliona kuko na watu walikuwa wamekatakatwa uso na wengine wameumia miguu.
Nimepoteza baba yangu, mama yangu, sister wangu waine.
Patrick Mburu is counting immense losses. In that vehicle were his parents, Elijah and Lydia Mburu, his sisters, Pauline, Naomi, Joyce and Catherine, his nephew Elijah and his uncle. Back home in Murang'a, Rodovic Gikonyo, though grieving, is thanking his lucky stars. He could have been in that ill-fated matatu had it not been for his daughter's education emergency that saw him and his wife stay behind. The accident has also left Stephen Gisharu in deep anguish. Amongst those who were picked last on the journey to Nakuru were his wife, daughter and son. Mother and daughter perished in the Sunday midday accident.
Niliongea nao jana asubuhi kabla pande gari. Na baadaye kitu bado nilikuwa saidia Tanzania kule. Huko kupiga simu Kenya ni haiendi through mpaka utumie WhatsApp. Sasa wakaniambia gari tumengoja gari imefika na tunaenda.
The heavy weight of this loss hangs over the home in Kandara, Murang'a. Family, neighbors and friends are trying to wrap their minds around the tragedy that nearly decimated this family. The loss perhaps also hitting hard at the venue of their visit. In Rongai, Nakuru, preparations for the visitors that never made it were complete. The food ready. It remains largely untouched. At the hospital, survivors continue to fight for their lives. 2 adults and a 9-year-old child are receiving treatment. Their families praying and hoping that they will live to tell the tale of that accident, a tale that the driver of the ill-fated trailer is also grappling with. He survived the crash.
Mimi nilishtukia matatu imenikaribia.
Nilipiga honi ama ulifanya nini?
Nilipiga honi. Unajua ukiona kitu mbele yako. Nilipiga honi, nikajaribu kuzuia breki kidogo. Sasa ile matatu ilikuwa na speedi zaidi. Ndio ikakuja ikakutana na mimi hapo.
The deceased bodies are currently preserved at the Nakuru mortuary as they await post-mortem examination before the families begin funeral and burial plans.
Ati hiyo familia ama tumeumwa na hiyo nini? Please tunaomba usaidizi sana.
Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
Such heartbreaking tales. Our condolences goes out to the family and friends. So the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, that is the IEBC, has officially launched a nationwide continuous voter registration exercise aiming to enlist at least 6.3 million new voters ahead of the next general election. The exercise was flagged off in Kajiado County, marking a significant shift in voter registration. For the first time, the Commission has incorporated iris recognition as part of the biometric data captured for voters. Now, this comes amid growing concerns over data privacy and the potential misuse of personal information. And the first day of the drive recorded very low voter turnout, with the exercise postponed in areas where there will be by-elections in November. Citizen TV's Ben Kirui has the details.
It was a slow start on the first day of the continuous voter registration. Most centers low turnout, some not recording any new voter. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC, while launching the nationwide voter registration exercise in Kajiado County, however, exuded confidence that turnout will improve as the drive progresses.
Mimi kama Gen Z niliamua nikuje nishike yangu kwa maana nataka mabadiliko katika uchaguzi ujao.
Remember, the election is in 2027 and we are supposed to register citizens, eligible voters, for a period up to 8 months before the general elections. That's when we will close the registration process.
Hili ni jukumu letu. It is an act of responsibility. Ikifika wakati tumeshapiga kura, basi tutadai haki yetu.
The electoral body is targeting at least 6.3 million new voters ahead of the next general elections. For the first time, the IEBC has introduced the iris recognition technology as part of its biometric data collection process, while the Commission touts the move as a significant step towards improving data accuracy and eliminating duplicate registrations. The rollout has sparked concern among some stakeholders over potential breaches of personal and data privacy risks. IEBC, however, defended the system, saying adequate safeguards have been put in place.
Sisi pia kwa upande ya registration ya voters, we are guided also by the Data Protection Act and of course the laws governing privacy. So we have taken into account all that.
In the meantime, voter registration remains suspended in areas slated for by-elections, including 6 National Assembly constituencies and several wards where electoral contests are scheduled. Registration will resume in these regions once the by-elections are concluded.
Tumefika huku tuwezi tukakata mpaka after by-election ndio tutaweza kukata hiyo kura. Mimi nilikuwa nataka kukata kura ndio at least we try to change Baringo County.
Despite the low start, the exercise saw enthusiastic participation from the youth population, many of whom say they view voter registration as a crucial step toward effecting the change they have long demanded through street protest and activism. The ongoing registration drive is expected to continue until 2027, with a mandatory suspension period set to begin 8 months before the next general elections. In Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now, governors are now blaming the national government for paralyzing the devolved units, which has seen most counties delay salary payments to staff for the last 2 months. The governors are now demanding that Treasury releases their September allocation along with other disbursements that are yet to be received. While they maintain that they are not opposed to the new e-procurement system, popularly known as EGP, they argue that it has failed and counties have stalled since its rollout 3 months ago. Willie Lusige has the details.
County governments continue to raise concerns over the frequent delays by the national government, a situation they say is straining service deliveries to citizens. Governors say the burden has consistently fallen on them.
For equitable share, counties are owed 36.275 billion for September 2025 allocation. We note that there's still a balance of 27.84 billion from the last financial year's County Government Additional Allocation Act.
During the 28th Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council meeting between the national government and county governments, chaired by Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, governors stressed that they do not oppose the new e-platform known as EGP, but claim that it has failed just 3 months after its implementation.
We have no problem whatsoever with automation. Along the road, you people will either realize that you are not given the full picture and would ask to revise it. We feel that as governors and counties, we have really been pushed to the wall. So much so that we are unable to operate.
The governors say the system was rushed without proper review or training, leaving counties unable to issue contracts or procure essential services. They warn that if the issue is not resolved, county services could come to a halt.
There are governors who up to today have not been able to pay salaries. In fact, it gets to a point where when I call governors for some of these meetings, they refuse to come.
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki said he will do everything possible to find a lasting solution, including speeding up payments to contractors that have been delayed for months.
Pending bills now are at the level of 720 billion, out of which 172 billion is with the county governments. And we must confront that issue and resolve it once and for all. And it is not impossible. It is very possible, actually, to address the pending bills issue.
Even though the government insists that the e-procurement system is going nowhere, governors are complaining that 3 months after its implementation, counties are now stuck with the probability of a looming complete shutdown. Willie Lusige, Citizen TV, Karen.
Ugandan opposition leader Kizza Besigye has sued Kenya for illegal deportation. Speaking after court session at the Milimani Law Courts today, lawyers representing the former Uganda presidential candidate led by senior counsel Martha Karua continue to call for the release of the opposition leader who is still detained by Ugandan authorities. Emmanuel To has the details.
Besigye filed a case against 7 ranking government officials, including the CS for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs Musalia Mudavadi, Defense Cabinet Secretary Soipan Tuya, Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen, Police Inspector General Douglas Kanja, the Director General of Immigration Services Evelyn Cheluget, Attorney General Dorcas Uduor, and a senior immigration officer at Malaba Border Post.
Afrika moja, Afrika uhuru.
The case, which was set to take off Monday morning, was deferred to allow the Office of the Attorney General to file responses at the High Court Milimani. According to the Attorney General, the 7 respondents occupied different offices and that letters seeking correspondence to prepare a joint response had gone unanswered. The lawyer representing the State Law Office asking the court for an extension of the case by 21 days to file the responses. Ugandan opposition leader Kizza Besige's legal team, led by senior counsel Martha Karua, complaining about the inordinate delay in the matter, maintaining that their client was illegally deported against the Extradition Commonwealth Act.
And according to that Act of Parliament, to extradite someone from this country to their home country requires a legal process, and you must go through the judiciary. I can confirm to us that that did not happen.
Besige, through his lawyers, maintains his rights were violated, arguing he was unlawfully, forcefully and violently abducted within Kenyan territory by security agencies from the Republic of Uganda and driven back to Uganda in the cover of darkness.
To extradite someone from this country to their home country requires a legal process, and you must go through the judiciary. I can confirm to us that that did not happen. Dr. Kizza Besige, together with Haj Obed Lutale, were abducted at Riverside. They were abducted by Ugandan police officers who had guns and were exercising security power in Kenya.
The matter will come up again on the 26th of February 2025 for hearing. His legal team says Besige and Lutale are still detained at the Luzira prison, despite the Supreme Court declaring they should not have been taken to a court-martial. Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now, opposition chief Kalonzo Musyoka has hit out at the Kenya Kwanza government for failing to address concerns raised by lecturers who have been on strike for the 3rd week now. Kalonzo says that the failure by government to resolve the stalemate clearly shows a regime not keen on resolving the crisis facing the education sector, including delayed capitation and confusion over new funding model. The Wiper Patriotic Front party leader who met with university students called on youth to register as voters and support the united opposition bid to take over leadership in 2027. Gatete Njoroge has more.
It is at the Wiper Patriotic Front party headquarters where over 200 university students who are now out of lecture halls due to lecturers' strike gathered. An engagement with party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, during which the government came under sharp criticism over the manner it is handling the crisis in the country's education sector.
As we speak, our education system is in shambles. Some of our best minds in this country are university lecturers, university teachers. These are the dons. How do you get 10,000 of them to go demonstrating? Something has gone wrong.
The opposition leaders took issue with the ever-evolving challenges in the education sector, saying thousands of bright students who qualified for universities are languishing at home due to lack of school fees as a result of the new funding model. They also questioned the delay in disbursement of capitation funds, which is causing disruption in public schools operations.
It cannot be that a government promised us free education, and the moment they got in, they made education the most expensive commodity in this country.
William Samoei Ruto alikuwa anapewa pesa ya boom. When he was in the university, education was free, accommodation was free, chakula ilikuwa bure, hostel ilikuwa bure, na alikuwa anapewa pesa. Why is he harassing Kenyan students?
If you are taken to do engineering, you pay higher according to this funding model, correct? Yes. If you are going to do medicine, you pay even higher, correct? We are therefore now disadvantaging some of the brightest.
Kalonzo says the head of state has abused his office by dishing out money to thousands who visit State House. During the same event, Babu Owino threw his weight behind Kalonzo's candidature in 2027, describing him as a selfless leader who can be trusted by all Kenyans.
In 2027, Kalonzo ametosha hajatosha. Kama alikuwa Azimio, Kalonzo alikuwa mzuri. Saizi kama Kalonzo ako opposition, sasa Kalonzo ni mbaya. Kalonzo amekosa nini so far? Amekosa nini so far? Ati tukisema pia Kalonzo tosha, ati babu ni mbaya. Mbaya what?
With the voter registration on course, the leaders have appealed to university students to register as voters and elect leaders who will look after their welfare. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Let's stay with politics, and fresh cracks are emerging within the United Opposition Coalition, with some member parties accusing the Jubilee Party of acting as a state project designed to split the opposition vote. Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni has gone further, alleging that DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua is secretly working with the government while masquerading as an opposition figure. Emmanuel Toh reports on the latest turbulence threatening to tear apart the opposition camp.
It has been a rocky political union, with accusations that some members have been dancing from a different tune. The team holding several meetings to close ranks with assurances of a more united outfit.
Sisi tumeshikana kama United Opposition na tumekubaliana tutatoa candidate moja wa kungangana na William Ruto.
I've said several times before, we are betting on our differences. You will lose your bet for sure, because we are not going to disagree.
However, just days after the Jubilee Party's Special National Delegates Convention, led by former President and party leader Uhuru Kenyatta, it seems the rifts are far from resolved, with supremacy battles between DCP and Jubilee now dominating the opposition camp.
Na tumekataa wheelbarrow ile ya yellow. Sasa iko ka wheelbarrow anatengeneza ya blue. Anatengeneza ingine ya rangi ingine ya green ya nini? Mtakubali wheelbarrow? Wangapi wanasema Kasongo hawezi kudanganya sisi tena? Sasa huyu Kasongo amepanga jama ya kutawanyisha opposition.
3 days ago, while addressing Jubilee delegates, party leader Uhuru Kenyatta also appeared to take a swipe at the DCP party, which has been branded a regional tribal outfit.
Mambo hii ya kusema ati chama hii ni ya upande hii, chama ni ya upande hii, chama ni ya upande hii. La, wacha tuwe na national parties ambazo zinaunganishwa kwa sababu ya sera, lakini sio kwa sababu ya pahali ambapo zimetoka.
Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, Jeremiah Kioni, speaking to Hot 96 Checkmate Show, Jubilee Party Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni has in return accused the DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua of hoodwinking Kenyans, claiming he has been in bed with the government all along while claiming to be in the opposition.
So when you are dealing about these things, wacha si tupebe hiyo mnaita red wheelbarrow.
So you're saying Gachagua and Ruto are working together?
He said it himself. And I'll give you the date and I'll give you the hour.
When was it?
I'll give you the date and the hour. Immediately I leave this place.
The opposition leaders gave the Jubilee Party NDC a wide berth, choosing to grace the PLP party leader Martha Karua's event.
If you see any of us akiteleza, huyo mjue ni nani? Msaliti.
It will now be a matter of time to see how long the centre will hold as alliances for the 2027 race take shape. Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Wakati wote ulikuja hapa kusema pole kwenu.
And away from politics, in a landmark ruling with implications for hospital policy and patients' rights across the country, the High Court has ordered Mater Hospital to release the body of a woman detained for nearly 2 months with a 3.3 million shillings bill. The case has sparked a national conversation about dignity in death, patients' rights, and the legal limits of medical institutions. Mary Mwoki has the full story.
The High Court in Nairobi has declared the continued detention of the late Caroline Ndangu Tito's body by Mater Hospital as unlawful and unconstitutional. Justice Nixon Sifuna, in a ruling on 23rd September 2025, firmly stated that no hospital in Kenya has the legal right to hold a body as collateral for unpaid medical bills. Justice Nixon held that the detention of bodies by mortuaries and hospitals for death claims traumatized stigmatizes the bereaved families and disrespects the departed, and that it has been employed to blackmail, embarrass, traumatize and coerce bereaved families into submitting to monetary demands by hospitals. Caroline Tito passed away on 2nd August while undergoing treatment at the hospital, but for nearly 2 months, her son, both college students, were unable to bury her after being presented with a bill totaling over 3.3 million plus a daily 2,000 shillings mortuary fee. In their petition, the young men described the hospital's actions as not only financially crippling, but emotionally devastating. They had already lost their father and were solely dependent on their mother. Justice Sifuna ruled that the detention and continued detention of the remains of the late Caroline Ndango Tito by the Mater Hospital is wrongful and without any legal or lawful justification. Quoting the principle that there is no property in a dead body, the judge ruled that holding remains over unpaid bills violates both dignity and public morality. The case is expected to have far-reaching repercussions in the country and have a legal bearing on hospital policies. The court has now directed the hospital to release the body upon payment of mortuary charges only, while the rest of the debt should be pursued separately. Mary Moki, Citizen TV.
All right, on that note, we're taking a quick break here on the Monday Report. When we come back, we still have a few more stories to run you by, and then we'll have a conversation on the continuous voter registration that has launched today in Kajiado and the turnout as well. The target is 6.3 million new voters. We'll find out from Anne Rito, who's the commissioner for IBC, and also Mule Musao, national coordinator, ELOG, will be joining us online. All right, see you in just a bit.
Kenya's silent killer. How early screening and simple lifestyle changes can save lives.
Thanks for staying with the Monday Report. Now, tension remains high in Kimwani along the Tinderet-Chemelil border after police shot dead 2 men amid violent clashes over a long-standing land dispute between locals and private landowners. Rapid Deployment Unit officers were forced to fire live rounds to disperse hundreds of youth who invaded the contested land, claiming it was illegally acquired during the late President Daniel Moi's era and later handed to senior military officers. Crispin Otieno has more.
Scenes of chaos unfolded in Kimani, Nandi County on Monday morning. Hundreds of armed youth stormed a vast piece of land estimated to cover hundreds of acres, demanding the forceful eviction of families who have lived there for more than 5 decades. The protesters claim the land was grabbed during the late President Daniel Moi's era, first handed to the now-defunct Agricultural Development Corporation and later allocated to senior security officials, a move that has sparked years of outrage. For nearly half a day, chaos erupted as Rapid Deployment Unit officers engaged the demonstrators in running battles. 2 youth aged between 24 and 30 were fatally shot as police moved to disperse the crowd. Area Police Commander Thomas Ototo, speaking to Citizen TV on phone, said security agencies are now working to restore calm and ensure the area is fully protected.
If they have any problem, they can channel it through the right offices, through the courts. So personally, I discourage that. Everybody has a right to own pieces of land anywhere in this country. So we will not allow that. It is regrettable that we lost 2 lives, but I again appeal to the youths not to be used by anybody.
Following the chaos, a known number of people suffered gunshot wounds. Residents say they will not retaliate, insisting that they want land dispute resolved peacefully and amicably.
Ombi letu kubwa ni kwamba Ruto utusikize kama wananchi wa Tinderet. Ombi letu kubwa, Murkomen uko wapi kama mtoto wetu? Kipchumba uko wapi? Utusikize kama watu wa Tinderet.
Hata baada ya kupata demarcation, akafanya allocation 1 na allocation 2. Allocation 1 ni wakubwa ambaye ni wanajeshi, ministers na kadhalika. Hawa ndio walipewa kuanzia eka 20 mpaka 1000 na ni mashamba ile ilikuwa ya arable land.
Wakubwa wengine wakakuja burusha sisi, wakatuweka kwa milima,
Paka saa hii hatuna hata ng'ombe hata moja kwa ajili ilikuwa kuna nyasi zingine na huwa ng'ombe huko juu.
Crispin Otieno, Citizen TV.
Now, suspect in the assault case of 22-year-old woman was arraigned in court on Monday but will remain in custody until Tuesday pending a bail hearing requested by his lawyer. The accused, Jackson Keiwa, the victim's ex-husband, was arrested on Friday over allegations that he ordered the victim's brothers to attack her, claiming that he had already paid her dowry. He faces charges of intent to abduct and confine Millicent Semeta in his house. Authorities say 4 additional suspects, the victim's brothers, remain at large. Police have launched a manhunt to apprehend them. The incident has triggered national outrage, with Gender Cabinet Secretary Hannah Cheptumo visiting Narok County and condemning the attack. Speaking during her tour, the CS denounced the assault and warned that heads will roll, stressing that no cultural practice will be allowed to override the Constitution.
They don't have sufficient reason for the accused to be denied bond. And therefore, the reason why they are asking for more time to file an affidavit, Your Honor, is to go for a fishing expedition to look for reason which they don't have.
Although it is culture, but that is not the culture that is expressed in Article 11 of the Constitution of Kenya. The Constitution of Kenya provides for good culture because that is what forms the cradle of our society. So we have come here to say no.
We are not going to let this case go because I know this is a second case which has come to my notice. There was a certain case again in Arosura where a lady was beaten because she had chosen to go to somebody else. Now we are saying no to this kind of injustices to women because a lady has a right to choose.
The post-mortem exercise on victims linked to the Kwabinzaro sect entered the 4th day at the Malindi Sub-County Hospital mortuary, with 6 more bodies examined. According to the Office of the Chief Government Pathologist, no injuries or signs of trauma were detected on the 6 bodies, and the exact cause of death remains uncertain. This brings the total number of autopsies conducted so far to 28 as investigators continue to piece together circumstances surrounding the deaths. The government is appealing to families to come forward for DNA sampling to help in the identification process. Authorities say that the DNA results will be crucial in releasing the bodies to relatives for burial as the probe into the mysterious deaths continues.
Unlocking the blue economy. Government partners with the World Fish to triple aquaculture output by 2027.
Thanks for staying with the Monday Report. Now, heart disease remains Kenya's leading silent killer, claiming thousands of lives every year, often with no warning signs. According to the Ministry of Health, 1 in every 10 deaths in the country is linked to a heart-related condition, a growing crisis that is now hitting younger adults. As the world marks World Heart Day, the spotlight now turns to the life-saving power of early screening and simple lifestyle changes. Lillian Muli speaks to a young mother who was diagnosed with cardiovascular disease while pregnant, and a discovery that came just in time to save not only her life, but also that of her unborn child.
The pictures hanging on this wall are those of a young family. In the picture, a young mother wears the smile of a heart disease warrior, even as she painfully recalls the shocking diagnosis that her heart was not well.
My journey began unknowingly with my first child. So when I was expectant with her, I would get shortness of breath, I would have fatigue, but I actually thought that is normal symptom of the pregnancy. That was until I got pregnant with my second. The symptoms were quite major, so they diagnosed me with a severe mitral stenosis. I would actually get a heart attack anytime.
After the medical consultation, Juliet took the necessary therapeutic measures.
2 months after the baby was born, I was just here in the house and I began getting shortness of breath. So we went to surgery. I'll say about 7 or 8 hours later, it was successful.
Pregnancy is a stress test for the cardiovascular health or cardiovascular status of a woman. If we look at how pregnancy changes the physiology of anybody, it's that you have an increase of the volume that is circulating through the bloodstream of up to 50%. And so anything that was masked, it was hiding, then it becomes more obvious because it's like, stressing the heart and the cardiovascular system to work a lot. We are looking at cardiovascular disease being the number 2 killer of women during pregnancy.
Hypertension is one of the leading risk factors for cardiovascular disease.
1 out of 4 Kenyans, adult Kenyans, have hypertension. Early detection then means, 1, we have to create lots of awareness, and early screening, because we need to screen. It's just knowing numbers, know your cholesterol level, know your blood sugar level, know your blood pressure levels.
Cardiologists say most cardiovascular diseases can be prevented through risk control.
We're using more polysaturated fats to make our meals, and the style of cooking, the type of food we eat, and even just being sedentary is all contributing to a very high increment on the level of dyslipidemia, as we call it in cardiovascular medicine, but really high cholesterol. And this is a big concern because you won't feel any symptoms. You're just walking around and your cholesterol is up and it's just clogging into your arteries. Myth number 1, heart disease is only for old people. Wrong. Heart disease can affect anyone through the life of any human being, male or female. 2, risk factors only come with age. Every risk counts, and every risk should not be overlooked. It should be taken care of. The other thing is that a lot of time we think that chest pain is muscular pain. Anyone can get a heart attack.
Today, Juliet is passionate about empowering people.
The heart is the central point of anyone. Going to get checked is so important.
Lillian Muli, Citizen TV.
Business News brought to you by Safaricom Business.
Tukitaka kugrow zaidi, we choose partners with solutions that get us there. You could also power your progress. Join Safaricom Business today. Power your progress at business.safaricom.co.ke.
Let's get into some business news now. Cage fish farmers from Kisumu are counting losses running up to 10 million shillings following the sudden death of fish in cages found at Dunga area. According to the affected farmers, 12 cages have so far been affected, with fears that more fish might die over the coming days. And as Laura Otieno now reports, the farmers have called for the strengthening of aquaculture policies that would enable them secure insurance packages to cushion them from such losses.
Barely 2 years after cage fish farmers in Lake Victoria lost close to 1 billion shillings from sporadic fish kills, disaster has once again struck, this time wiping out fish worth 10 million shillings. Over the last 2 days, fish in 12 cages have died due to suspected suffocation, leaving farmers with losses.
Hasa zenye zimekufa hizi zilikuwa ziko almost kupaliliwa ili tuziuze. Sasa tuna hasara, tunaomba tu kama tunaweza pata wadhamini wenye wanaweza kutusaidia ili turudi kwa biashara yetu.
Ni samaki ambayo ingechukua miezi mitatu inayokuja tungeuza hata shilingi milioni 20. Sasa ni it's a big loss. Insurance hatujui venye tutawafikia.
In a report released by the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Institute, the sporadic fish kills in Lake Victoria were attributed to upwelling, which caused suffocation, especially in fish cages. The report further advised the relocation of cages into deeper water in order to minimize the chances of suffocation. Kisumu County public health officials now saying that all fish in the market has been declared fit for consumption.
We are going to do everything within our powers to ensure that the fish that has been killed is disposed of responsibly so that it does not go into the market. I know at the moment there is fear that probably some of the dead fish are finding their way into the market, which is not actually true.
Following the sudden loss of fish in Lake Victoria, the fishing community is appealing for the strengthening of policies in the aquaculture sector in order to save them from losses occasioned by sudden fish kills. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV, Kisumu.
The government, through the Ministry of Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs, has signed a memorandum of understanding with the International Center for Living and Aquatic Resources Management, also known as World Fish, to foster collaboration in research and development of the maritime sector. According to the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs, Betsy Njagi, the move is aimed at increasing the sector's contribution to the gross domestic product, that is a GDP, from the current range of 37 to 39 billion shillings. Jimmy Mbogo has more.
It is a partnership that is aimed at unlocking Kenya's maritime potential, which, according to the Ministry of Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs, stands at over 350 billion shillings worth of revenue annually. This is nearly 10 times the sector's current contribution to the GDP of 37 billion shillings as of the last financial year. The government is further committing to triple that contribution by 2027.
In the marine ecosystem alone, we have given grants to over 16,000 groups worth 3.2 billion. So these are some of the programs we have done. So when you look at our focus by 2027 is to grow the space at least to 100 billion. I told you we are between 37 to 39 billion.
To accelerate the growth in the sector, the government has provided inputs such as nets and cages to over 20,000 groups made up of at least 30 people, leading to the creation of over 100 jobs in the last 3 years. Additionally, the government has embarked on the construction of 5 fish landing sites in Mombasa at a cost of 1.2 million shillings, which are expected to be used by all beach management units to reduce post-harvest losses.
Because one of the challenges the fisherfolk face is post-harvest losses. That is one. Another element is we are building a 1.4 billion center of excellence for Namaret, called Namaret, for marine aquaculture, or rather marine culture. These technologies are the ones that are going to assist our people to start farming maybe shrimp.
Through the partnership, Kenyan students focusing on marine biology will also get training opportunities and placement in the International Center, Living and Aquatic Resources Management, Wildfish, to hone their skills.
There's been so much fragmentation in the fisheries and aquaculture space. Small initiatives here and there. End of project, we pack our stuff and we leave. But what we want to see is a more consolidated regional program that's durable and lasting.
Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now, modern agriculture is heavily relying on technology to maximize production and increase profits. This includes the use of digital technologies to collect, analyze, and visualize data to inform policies aimed at improving production. Shoshin Innovations Hub is one such venture developing technology targeting fish farmers and climate change. Edward Chwea tells us how Shoshin uses live labs to provide real-time data to help farmers make informed decisions.
At her farm in Kisii, Mary Onsongo has been rearing fish the last few years after the county government encouraged local farmers to embrace aquaculture. However, she suffered major losses with her first batch of fingerlings. To address these, Shoshin, a venture founded and run by young Kenyan techies, developed water testing technology, e-Samaki, to help the farmers understand how to properly rear fish.
We do agri-tech, which is focused on the farmers. Climate tech, it's focused on ensuring that organizations are compliant, especially with ESG reporting, and also aquatech. Aquatech is focused on the marine life, fish in the fish pond and even in the rivers, and also smart cities. One of the things that, again, organizations or is part of the SDGs by 2030, so bringing in technologies that actually tackle the smart city perspective.
So, how does eSamaki work?
This is essentially a technology that helps you monitor your pond conditions and your feeding regime. Our technology is app and USSD based. You see, that caters for both farmers who have smartphone and feature phones. There is a gadget we give the farmer to keep testing the different parameters needed: temperature, alkalinity, pH, all those parameters that are needed. This farmer takes the water sensor, dips it in water. It will read every other parameter: salinity, the alkalinity, the pH, and all that, and send it to the farmer. Either through the app, it will be a notification on the app. For the USSD farmers, it will be an SMS that comes to you. So both are well taken care of. We've also incorporated AI in our technology to ensure that this massive data we are collecting on behalf of the farmer, we analyze it, it makes sense for the farmer, and do recommendations on exactly what they need to do with their ponds.
Farmers like Mary, who have since embraced these technologies, say their fish no longer die in the ponds and the yields have increased.
Imetusaidia sana kwa sababu wana support maofisa wetu, wanakuja, ofisa wa ground wanakuja, wanatufundisha sana. Tukiwahitaji wanakuja, tukiwa na shida wanakuja. Kwa hivyo pia wanawasupport. Hata sasa wengine wanatusaidianga chakula kidogo. County inatusaidia chakula, tunalisha nao. Pia vile hii samaki ilikuja, pia imetusaidia na ile kifaa ambapo nimejaribu kujua usafi wa maji.
Willie says they look forward to innovating more to be the go-to hub for everyday challenges. Edward Chwea, Made in Kenya, Citizen TV.
Time now for some sporting action, and 6 teams have opened their National Super League campaigns with a win, with former Kenya Premier League sides taking an early lead in the chase for promotion to the Kenya Premier League. Nzoia Sugar, Naivas FC, Talanta FC, Migori Youth, Mombasa United and Mofa all won with a 1-goal margin. Newcomers Kabati FC from Central Kenya came from behind to snatch a point in a 1-1 draw against Vihiga United in a match played at the Thika Stadium. After only one round of matches, this promises to be one of the most competitive leagues with no clear favourite emerging. Naivas FC, Talanta FC, Nairobi United as well as Mofa are the teams to watch.
Na ligi zote zenye tumekuwa tukicheza, saa hii ball unapanishiwa na mistake. Ukifanya mistake moja ama brada moja unapanishiwa nayo. So tutaenda kurekebisha na hiyo haita happen next time. So mafans pia wasikuwe na wasiwasi, mistake kama hizo hazikosangi.
Football hakuna siku hizi timu rahisi. Na sofa mimi nilijua hii game itakuwa ngumu. Sofa timu inakonga imepanda miaka zote za NSL, hata game ya kwanza huwa ina ushinda hizi timu kubwa. Kwa sababu ya nini? Ile morale wanakonga wameingia nayo ni kubwa.
Now, David Munywa has made history by becoming the first Kenyan to qualify for the PDC World Darts Championship to be played at the iconic Alexandra Palace in London in December 2025. Munywa was on fire in the final against South African Cameron Carolissen in the qualifying tournament held in Nairobi. In 8 legs, Munywa led 5-3 as the tension builds up. Carolissen had this chance to force a deciding leg but blew the 4 opportunities he got, while Munywa hit a double 16 to seal the championship and punch a ticket to London. Pool as a sport is slowly gaining momentum in the South and North Rift region as tournaments gathers traction amid calls to make it a mainstream sport. Now, the game launched by local professionals from Narok, Bomet, Kericho and Nakuru is set for a facelift to become a game changer for the youth. The game has been taken to the grassroots level, with the latest event attracting a good number of participants in Tulele Trading Center, that's in Narok East. Samuel Sibi was in a class of his own, wiping the floor with his opponents to win the top cash award of 20,000 shillings. John Ladashi finished second to win 15,000 shillings. Tadej Pogacar lit up the Kigali's climb with a trademark long-range attack to claim a second consecutive men's road race world title in Rwanda. He triumphed as the championships were staged in Africa for the first time, with hundreds of thousands cheering. From the roadside, Belgian Ramco, who won the individual time trial title for the third year in a row, finished second, 1 minute and 28 seconds off the pace, with Ireland's Ben Haley taking third place, another 48 seconds further back. Pogacar is the third rider in the last 2 decades to retain the rainbow jersey, after Slovakia's Peter Sagan, who won 3 in a row from 2015 to 2017, and Julian Alaphilippe of France, who won in 2020 and 2021. Another monument one-day race awaits when he lines up at the Giro di Lombardia next month. All right, we're taking a quick break here on the Monday Report. When we come back, we're talking about IEBC and the continuous voter registration that began today in Kajiado. 6.3 million is the targeted new voters who registered, bringing the register to 28 million. They're looking at a budget of 61 billion shillings in 2027. We'll find out from them. And also talk about the new biometric voter registration module, which they've introduced. We'll talk about all that in just a bit. But mostly send in all your questions so that we pose it directly to the commissioner, who's already here, Anderito, the IEBC commissioner, and also the head of elections registration. And Mule Musau, national coordinator ELOG, which is the elections observation group, will be joining us online as well in just a bit. All right, see you shortly.
Countdown to 2027. IEBC targets more than 6 million new voters in the continuous voter registration campaign. That is our discussion tonight.